Hey everybody, it's Friday, October 6th, 2020. I'm Kevin Murcko, CEO here at CoinMetro, and this is my weekly AMA. So as the title says, ask me anything, ask me anything. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been watching the US elections as if it was some kind of battle to the death. Yeah, and they're both still alive somehow. So anyway, Wannabe made it in first, made it in early actually, as I was messing around with settings here. So nice to see you, Wannabe. I'm going to give everybody a few moments here to make their way, hey Bryan, make their way into the room. Feels like I was just doing this yesterday for 10 hours. It wasn't yesterday, it was a couple of days ago, but I got to tell you, that was brutal, man. I had a really good time, but that 10-hour live stream, I think we should do it again at some point, maybe 8 hours, you know, come on. Let's be realistic. Hey, Jet Fuel. Hey, Eric Suandru. Whoever came in third, you know, whoever that is. Appreciate you being here. So yeah, guys, let's get down to it. I spent an eventful week. Like I said, definitely I've been looking at those election results. It's an interesting one, to be fair. It's an interesting one. Ah, thanks. Yeah, I think, didn't I had the haircut for the 10-hour, maybe you weren't there. Did you make it? Maybe you didn't, but I had the haircut actually for the 10-hour event we did earlier this week. I think, if I can remember that far back, I'm pretty sure I did. Ah, Happy Alex. Okay, well, that makes it easier. Happy Alex came in third. Appreciate that. Much easier for me than the username. Hey, Harold, how are you? So yeah, guys, do you think, here we go, first question of the day, do you think BTC has topped out in the short term? Well, realistically speaking, realistically, Jesus, I don't know if that should even be a word anymore. But when you look at between like 14,800 USD roughly on up to 20K, there's almost no resistance. I think the last time that happened in a week, essentially. So there's no resistance. That doesn't mean that it's just going to go to 20. What it means is that if it wants to, it probably could. I tend to think there's a ton of sell pressure as we move up, especially after the 17, 18, 19 thresholds. There's going to be massive amounts of sell pressure and probably lots of take profits as well. I think depending on how the US election rolls out, you're going to see take profits starting to happen up through January. Also, if it looks like it's going to be contested in multiple states, which it already, well, is, I guess, but if those move forward, we potentially won't know who won officially until maybe even after they're supposed to be inaugurated, which I don't think has ever happened in the history of US elections. So it's going to be an interesting one. And that either can bode well for crypto, or if crypto follows stocks, well at first, not so well towards the end. So it's going to be interesting. I think BTC could possibly go higher. As I said, you know, make sure you're ready for volatility when you trade through a contested election. Kev, is XCM missing this bull market? Based on the price we qualify as a stable coin, I support you, but I want to see some progress after almost 3 years. I love when people throw around bull market with crypto. Crypto's never not been in a bull market, to be fair. I mean, if you look at it from a longer term, it's always been in a bull market. I wouldn't call XCM a stable coin per se. It's not backed by anything. So obviously it's not pegged to anything. It has no value behind it. It's not pegged to the US dollar or diamonds or gold or anything like that. So technically not a stable coin. I get what you're saying though, that it trades stably, that it doesn't necessarily see volatility well to the upside or necessarily to the downside, which might not be the worst thing in the world when volatility hits the market. What I would say is it's all tied. I've said this 100 times and I'll say it again. XCM's value is inherently tied to the size of the company, the volumes on the exchange, and the amount of new clients that come into the exchange, and the amount of existing and new clients that interact and trade on the exchange. So we've been, you know, we've 7x, 5x, saw 500 to 700% growth across a lot of different metrics in the last quarter. We're pushing to see that metric as well into and out of in the fourth quarter and into Q1. We have the bond going on right now, obviously. We have different marketing techniques that are starting to hit the airwaves. Some of those, again, are still tests. Some of them maybe not many people saw and didn't like. But that's what testing is all about. So I think that, it can get frustrating. And I've been in a million investments in my life, and I've been in some that as soon as I get frustrated enough and I start to, not frustrated, but tells me that, well, time to move on, and then they spike. Sometimes I time to move on and they tank. I mean, sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. That's every investor. You're always worried about whether you're right or wrong. I think we have a lot going for us. I think we have one of the best products in the industry. It's all about awareness. The more awareness we create, the more value that XCM is going to have. You can see that it does hold its value well. It might not be at the ICO price as per euro, but it holds its value well. And we have been seeing over a macro time frame higher highs and higher lows in terms of the let's say the support that we're creating over time. So I think that's good news. I really do expect XCM to see a fantastic 2021. It has been almost, well, since XCM has been released, it hasn't been 3 years, but since the company really started out in the ICO process, we're going on 3 years, that's for sure. You know what? It took Coinbase about 7 or 8 years to get where it is now. And we don't really know what the planning phases look like, how long that was. But to be fair, 3 years in, it could be worse. Of course, it could be better, but look, we're building out a team. I think we have, like I said, fantastic products. We have fantastic service, and people are starting to realize that. And when that snowballs, therein comes the demand, therein comes, XCM not be considered a stable, well, maybe still considered a stable coin by some, but at higher values. Kevin, Shill XCM, we have CSD. Well, we don't have CSD. CSD is another company, but yes, we have the securities marketplace, which is the front end of that CSD. Fiats, Tram, super support, good coins, regulation on our side. We only lack marketing. What are your plans for marketing in midterm? Look, I could Shill XCM all day. When I look at fundamentals, look, I guess what I would say to anybody listening about XCM, about CoinMetro in general, especially those that have been here for a long time. I've made lots of predictions about the market, and not necessarily about price, but about what's going to happen with regulation, about what's going to happen when regulation hits, the fact that the big boys aren't going to be immune to getting hit by regulation. I've talked about how the market is going to mature over time, what type of products are going to hit the market. And I think I hit a lot of those nails on the head. Now, I'm not saying I've been right every time. From our perspective, we've acted as if money wasn't an issue while building the company, even though in many cases, money was always an issue, but we always found a way to move forward. And I think that's going to bode super well in the future. There are companies, like I said, that will go out and do anything. BitMEX, well, look what happened to them. OKX, well, look what's happening to them. You have companies like Binance, which, okay, nothing's happened to them yet as far as we can tell, but it's coming. So I think we've done everything that we should have done. We've followed the rules. It's been maybe difficult at times following the rules when no one else is following the rules, but slowly but surely, they're being forced to follow the rules. And you're right. Look at all the things we have. Even yesterday, I was talking to Oliver, and Oliver said, "Did you know?" He said, "I hate ETH pairs. I hate ETH pairs, to be fair, myself. Not because I hate ETH. I just don't want to look at a screen that says the value of my pair, my cross, is 0.0000262543. Why should I have to do math? Like, why should math be an equation that I have to handle when I'm just trying to figure out pair sizing? If I'm coming in without other than ETH, if I'm coming in with even when I'm coming with ETH, I got to do multiplication and decimal math, like apart from all the other math I have to do for position sizing, risk analysis, etc. Do you know that we actually show the euro value though, the underlying fiat value or USD, whatever you have your account set in when you go into ETH pairs? Who does that? Nobody. That's who. There's so many things that we do on our system that no one else does. On top of that, when you talk about copy trading, when you talk about our Tram, the way it's set up, the way that we actually do the allocations and et cetera, the way you're actually allocated the mirrored trades, no one else does it that way. And it's not because it's because it's better some other way. It's because it's easier some other way. We just do it better. I think we do a lot of things better. Again, it's awareness. So marketing is always, I don't want to say marketing is not a science, because that's going to put down a lot of marketing professionals out there that do great work, including our own. But marketing is marketing, guys. Marketing's about getting people to use your product. Marketing's about getting people to know what you're doing. Marketing is just about putting awareness out there. And of course, right now, that means digital marketing. That means getting on social media. That means doing things like those webinars. That means getting content out there. That means making sure people know you exist. That means covering all the different verticals, covering people that want to know about more complex subjects, people that only want to know buy Bitcoin instantly buy Bitcoin from your Euro bank account instantly, buy Bitcoin from your USD bank account instantly, buy Bitcoin from your, etc., all the way up to STOs, all the way up to you can issue a security on this platform, all the way up to, and all the tests we've done, we've shown that even with small tests, we can see progress. But it takes time to get in the laboratory after that to make sure that you can push where you need to push and you spend the money where you need to spend the money. So marketing is going to be all those things. Marketing, we even are talking about maybe even using an agency for certain things. We're talking about pushing harder to get the ability to advertise on other social media within Europe. All those things are in progress. But yeah, social media influencer marketing is another thing that we will definitely be looking at. Influencer marketing was 8 billion, I believe, in 2019. It's supposed to get up to 12 billion in the next year. It's a big deal. Lots of brands use it. Almost all big brands use it. We're going to be using it too. We just need to find the right influencers. I don't necessarily want to pay somebody, 40,000 euro just to say, bro, this is going to pop, bro. That's great for short term, and I know that works for lots of companies, maybe to buoy their token price. And I'd be happy to see our token price higher, and it will be. So eventually, I'm going to be very happy. I'm pretty happy now, though. But I will be happier in the future. However, I also want to see the business grow. The business grow will ensure the token price goes higher. If the business doesn't grow and the token price does, that doesn't ensure that the business has longevity. So anyway, influencer marketing is definitely on the cards. But yeah, everything that everyone else does, except, to a certain extent, we just need to beat our competitors at their advertising. Well, we have better prices, we have better products, we have more direct fiat on-ramps, we have some of the only instant fiat on-ramps in the industry. I'm pretty sure we can beat them. Bryan, I see marketing happening, and yep, there is those are marketing tests, and they're going to be ongoing, and more marketing to come. Yep, definitely some pics in Telegram. How's marketing going in terms of signups since USD launch? USD so far, we've done some marketing inside the US market, but a lot of that was around the bond. And in terms, I think we're up to 50 some odd accounts that have actually gone through the process to link up their bank accounts. So not many in terms of numbers, but it's steadily increasing. And we're going to steadily start increasing the amount of advertising that we do to the US market. Things like buy USD direct from your bank account, instantaneously. And those type of things are going to be rolling out over the next couple of weeks. The bond raised about 83, the goal is 2.5 million. Why is the raised amount so low? How are you tackling possible investors? Well, it's been only a few days. So I know that if your only experience with like raising funds is reading other companies about raising funds when they announce that things were successful and probably padded by VC money, or ICO bubble, which was people raising money in 15 seconds, that's not usually how it works. Raising money is like old school detective work. It's shoe leather. You got to get out on the road. You got to talk to people. You got to hear no a lot of times. And we're in the process of doing that. And well, we've been doing that for over a year, almost 2. We're going into our second year of having to do that. So we're getting better and better at it. I think with pending, we're close to 100K. I think with the reserve amount, it's over 90 at least, something like that. And it's only the first few days. I think we've averaged about 20K a day, something like that since the beginning, maybe 15K. And even if we just did 15K on average throughout the entirety, we're still talking about a raise that'll surpass 1.3, 1.4 million. So it takes time. How are we tackling investors? Well, advertising. We have a pitch deck, as well as a longer doc that's going to be posted to that bond sales page, and will also be circulated around people that expressed interest to us, bigger amounts, as before the bond was actually launched. So we actually heard from several of the people in our networks that were pitching larger investors that 2.5 wasn't enough. But those larger investors haven't come in yet because we've promised them additional documentation, and that documentation will be filtered out to them next week. We also have additional people that are simply waiting on liquidity. Mid-November, late November, liquidity coming in, more money into the bonds. So, I guess what I like to say is lots of companies, when they raise money, what they do is they raise the money first, Then they say they're going to start raising on Monday, and on Monday they say sold out. Just to give, one, the investors and also the people looking at that investment, oh, wow, they did that so fast. They must be a great company. And it's all that's also another aspect of marketing, to be fair. For us, we want to make a point that we actually want people to come in. We want we want our clients to own a piece of CoinMetro. We want to give them that ability. We want them to gain the ability to do that. And that's important for us. So it's not about raising all the money in one day. Yes, we need the money. If it takes 90 days, it takes 91 days, if it takes 93 days, no difference to us if it takes one day. At the end of the day, we just want to raise the funds. And like I said, I'd rather have 15,000 clients come in and give us a relatively small amount of money, because that shows strength in the product. It shows strength in our community. And to be honest, our community has already shown some strength. Most of that money that flew in is from our community. It's from people that have been using us, people in the Telegram group, etc. And that's great. That's great to hear and great to see. Plus, we have the election going on. Lots of people in the U.S. Can't take their faces away from the TV screen to see how this election is going to pan out. And even though I'm a U.S. citizen, but I don't live there, like I said, I've been looking at it like it's a contact sport for the last couple of days. Any news on UI, UX update? Coming along, they're all in progress. We have a Tram update on the roadmap. I think this initial Tram update is not going to include a completely renewed redesign. There's just some aspects, some things that are going to be added, warning messages, et cetera, letting people know that when they would withdraw from the Tram, they're actually going to close open exposure, et cetera. The actual Tram update, if I'm not mistaken, is now into December, January. The full Tram update. There's a lot more things, though, that have been pushed into that roadmap. Some of this biz dev stuff and some other things tied to USD, some other things tied to some of our other payment gateways, some things tied to mitigating fraud as well on some payment gateways. So a lot of things have been pushed in, I don't want to say last minute, but that are priority, not so much, some are a priority on the revenue side, some are priority on making sure that we're not getting fleeced side, which are both important for their own reasons. I think it might be good to partner with banks who are going to enable crypto to the masses. An investment in CoinMetro will be the best entry in the crypto market for them, or I'm wrong. Depends. Banks look at things a little bit different. I'm going to pull your question off just so that people can actually see my face here. So yes, Sapino, I agree that it potentially could be, especially for a smaller bank that wants to gain access. Bigger banks probably want, for us, getting a big bank to do that would be a huge confidence boost for us and for our clients. They would say, oh, wow, UBS just partnered with CoinMetro. Who's CoinMetro? Jesus, that would actually help us. But would it help the bank? The bank themselves, we are regulated, but we're not as highly regulated as the bank. We may not hold licenses in the same country where the bank is based. All those things are going to come into play. It's going to make it much more difficult for the bank to make that choice. Banks would probably end up initially partnering with things like BitGo, things like Kingdom Trust, custody agents, because the first thing they're going to want to do is simply be able to offer the ability to hold crypto. Something like PayPal did with Paxos. Paxos created a system to basically sell B2B to other businesses that wanted to accept crypto. So not necessarily our ball game, but for smaller banks may be an option. And to be honest, banks, tell me one thing that banks do well from a customer's perspective. Yeah, I don't see any comments coming in. And the reason is that banks basically almost do nothing well as a whole. Some banks are better than others, that's for sure. But banks on a whole, what they really do well is loaning out money they don't have. When it comes to those auxiliary services, selling insurance, credit cards, selling maybe outside of loan services, maybe they have some. I mean, to be honest, for consumer banking, it really is. Like I've said a million times, it's underserviced. Retail markets are underserviced in banking and financial markets, et cetera. And that's because they tend to believe, banks and all other financial providers tend to see that they have to service the institutional clients less, and they make more per client. So they only need 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 clients rather than 40,000, 5,000, 10 million. And they end up going down that route, and it leaves the retail market even less serviced. And so banks come in to provide crypto. They will probably charge more money for it, and the service will suck, which means that people will gain exposure to crypto, but then they will start to look for options because now they understand the market and they want something that's probably cheaper, probably more accessible, offers them more services, et cetera, and better service. And that's how they find CoinMetro. So I don't see banks generally as competitors in that light. I see them as actually helping us gain more clients. We're working with that right now. We have some storyboarding going on next week, probably presenting of an initial kind of MVP to them to show them how it worked the week after. And then 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks after that, the potential launch initially of the product. So we're working on it. Hypothetically, how plausible would a shutdown of Tether be? How would a freeze of all USDT by regulators look like? How would it hit the market? Something you worry about. I don't worry about it at all because I don't hold, use, or list USDT. From a market perspective, there's what, 17 trillion? A trillion, Jesus, that would be amazing. Billion tied up in Tether. Government can't shut Tether down. It's decentralized. They couldn't shut down every node. It would exist. What they can do is stop all players they can touch, regulated or unregulated, that try to do business in the US, for example, and probably other regulators would follow, UK, Australia, Japan, stopping regulated players. And again, just making a notice that if you're unregulated and you do it, they're going to come after you as well, from using USDT. That would push USDT on the black market, where, to be fair, probably a good amount of that business happens anyway, because a lot of USDT initially was used by the Chinese to move money and to, again, the same thing they were doing with Bitcoin was to evade that 50,000 USD cap. They can't move money out of the country, but also even for trading and things like that to avoid tax, which is probably being cracked down as we speak in China anyway. So they can't shut it down. Normally, if this was any other type of asset, centralized asset, they would completely shut it down. The value of that asset would essentially go to zero. All the funds held by Tether would end up going into liquidation. It would take years and years and years and years for people to get their money back, and they'd end up getting less than they put in because lawyers would take their cut. I've been in a liquidation case with a US-based liquidity provider where my company only had 1,000 US dollars with them for 8 years. So there you go. But here, they can't actually freeze the Tether. They can freeze whatever might be the reserve of the company, potentially. If it's all crypto, that might even come into question. But they can freeze the reserve. But what does that really mean for the underlying? Tether would still have a value if people were willing to trade it with each other. So I think what would happen is we'd start seeing secondary OTC markets for Tether, where people were trying to dump their Tether for 60 cents, 70 cents on the dollar. Other people were buying in and potentially betting on the fact that somebody else might buy it from them for $1 or 90 cents. And we'd see this underground OTC market flourish, but Tether wouldn't go anywhere. The question is, would people still give it a value knowing that the reserve now absolutely does not exist? People have been giving it value for years, understanding that the reserve probably doesn't exist, or at least all of it. Would they continue to do that? And after it gets pulled from most exchanges, would it still hold the same value? That's the question. And it probably wouldn't. It probably would fall in value. I wouldn't expect it to go to zero. I think the writing's on the wall. You see all this Tether being printed. I wouldn't doubt that this is happening because they do feel that some indictment is coming, and they're trying to get that Tether and push it into Bitcoin, push it wherever they can, possibly for one of the reasons why you see Bitcoin going to all-time highs or going close to all-time highs is because people are basically taking their Tether, and Tether is taking Tether and pushing it into Bitcoin to get the money out of the system. Oliver said that marketing like buy Bitcoin isn't allowed. In Europe right now, we can't do that. In the US, we can because we're approved by Google to be able to do that as a licensed crypto exchange. However, in Europe right now, we cannot. But that doesn't mean we can put that on social media. We can build landing pages. Directly putting the ads, though, right now is an issue, but we're fighting to make it not an issue. It'll take some time, but we will get there eventually. You can even see competitors of ours in Estonia that put up buy Bitcoin ads. It's just a matter of getting through the process of getting them to agree, because it's bots. The bots say no, 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 no. And then you finally talk to somebody. They may say no. You talk to somebody else. It's a process. Kevin needs to get on Joe Rogan's podcast to show CoinMetro. Yeah, well, Joe Rogan wants to reach out. I'll come on there. No problem. Even, we can do like I don't know. We can do it. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure we'd have some fun. I've never actually watched, I'm not a podcast guy for some reason, so I've never actually heard Joe Rogan's podcast, but I've seen clips of it on TV here and there, obviously when he had Elon Musk and a few other guests on there. Hi, Kev, hope you're good. Will CM bombs be part of any free giveaways like XCM? Retweet this for 5 bonds. I'm worried if they aren't all sold, they might be and don't like the idea. No, we wouldn't do that. In fact, I'm not even sure we could. I don't think you can, giving away securities is much, regardless of the Montenegro sandbox license, much different than giving away utility tokens. So no, we wouldn't do that. Are you not afraid that while all unregulated exchanges are closing by regulators, some big player will pop up and take a lot of money and also be regulated? No. Look, there will be other regulated exchanges. I don't pretend to be the only one. To be fair, I don't care if there's 100 of them. How many regulated banks are there in the world? Most of those bankers are doing well. Most of those banks are doing well. They all make pretty good money. So, in the world, we're going to need more than one gatekeeper. CoinMetro is not going to be the only game in town. Never will be. So that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. They can take their market share. We're good at things they're not going to be good at. They're going to be good at things, or they're going to focus on things we don't even focus on. So, look, competition is a good thing. Competition is never bad when you're all on an equal footing. If they can only offer the things we can offer, we just need to be a little bit better in offering them. And we need to be a bit more, maybe a bit more risk-taking or creative on how we offer those products. But that's business, and that's how businesses get better. So no, not worried about that at all, to be fair. Gustavo, hey Gustavo, long time no see. I think the last time I saw Gustavo was Switzerland, 2018 maybe. So nice to see you on here. I know I've seen you lurking a few times. So great clarity as always. Token price rising along the growth of the business. Yep, that's how it works. And the growth of the business has really just started to begin. And we've been holding value in XCM throughout even when the business wasn't growing. That's actually a fantastic sign. It's something that maybe not as visible to everyone, but it's a fantastic sign. Chemstar is into crypto. You should get him to endorse you. Not sure who he is, but like I said, influencer marketing is coming. So definitely going to be looking for lots of these people, not necessarily to endorse us, but at least to talk about us. Evan, hey Evan. Yeah, man, come on. I'm looking at, what am I looking at up here? I see 44 current users. We got Twitch. Hey, we're on Twitch today, by the way. So right on. Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, and then YouTube were most visitors. I see 2 likes on Facebook. I think we can do better than that. But thanks, Evan, for posting that. That's cool. Wagie Cagie Kevin, is the bond better for a holder who don't intend to trade? I'm not math smart. Okay, Wagie Cagie. It depends on you. I'll give you an example. So if you're looking for a speculative investment, right? So you think that XCM is going to go way beyond 20 cents. Or maybe you think it's going to go sub 20 cents, but 5x from where it is now in the next 2 years. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Then buying XCM and holding it, maybe the best bet for you. Probably is. If you're looking to gain some cash flow, so you say you're not going to sell, right? You're a holder. So that means you're going to see no cash flow by holding XCM because you're just going to hold it. If you believe it's going to go substantially higher than 20 cents, and you want to see some cash flow in the meantime, and you want the option at the end of the next 2 years to get some maybe equity of the company. Imagine the equity the company goes from its current valuation to 10x in its valuation. And maybe XCM goes to 30 cents. You have a choice then. Do I cash out at 30 cents and make a 50% return? Yeah. Or do I say, know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into equity because it's 10x. And now I can sell those growth tokens if I need some cash on the secondary market. Or potentially, I'm going to hold on to them to see where it goes. So it really depends on you. The bond is giving you the ability to watch us for 2 years. And especially if you're looking to gain some equity-like ownership. Well, you can watch us for 2 years. Try to see if that's something you want to do. You have 2 years to watch us. If we do great, then maybe you convert at today's valuation so you don't lose out. But maybe you're like, well, they did okay, but you know what? I want to cash out. You can cash out into XCM at 20 cents per XCM. So you're going to miss the, let's say, current price, the 3 cents to 20 cent possible push. So again, if you're a holder, you don't care necessarily about that cash flow, that interest, that 8 to 12% interest per year over the next 2 years paid daily. If you don't care about that, then XCM's your best bet. If you think you may want to go into equity and you may want the option to convert to XCM and you may want to see that cash flow, then the bond is the right option. Hey, Links, of course, man, you made it through 10 hours worth of live stream the other day. So absolutely, Links. Kevin, I'm ICO tier on previous AMA. You said that you will There will be tiers. There will be tiers also for staking. Sorry, higher tier, higher return. Okay. Are you thinking to increase highest return if I'm ICO and then have CM bonds? So the staking tiers, well, the current tiers we have, we will apply staking to. We're not going to create a new tier. Or if somebody asked, would you create a higher tier, maybe with 100,000 XCM or something, or leave the highest tier at 50,000 as XCM increases in value and add a lower tier? And I said, that's possible. But in reality, that same rebate tier system will be used for staking. Bank thingy. Yep, there you go. Do you think most of the projects in crypto actually add any value to the respective industry? Most look scammy and it's difficult to convince normies to buy anything aside from BTC and ETH. Well, I think most projects and businesses globally don't add much value, to be fair. You know, how much value does that 7th Starbucks on the same street add? Or it adds value to Starbucks. Does it really add value to the coffee industry, to the debatable? Does it add value somewhat? Debatable. You know, most small businesses fail, so they don't add value, or they didn't add enough value. So if you look at the metrics of just business in general, like 90% of businesses fail, small business. Same metric. It doesn't change because it's a human metric. It's not about the business, how you raise the money, you know, whether it's raised in crypto or not, whether you raise it online or raise it from a friend or raise it from, you know, or putting an ad in the newspaper, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So it's a human metric, and we follow those metrics all the time. So I would say it is hard because people don't think deeply. People don't take deep dives into anything. Most people don't, which means they look at it and go, oh, that's a scam, and that's it. Oh, I saw this article one time in the New York Post that said crypto is a scam, so it's a scam. And they don't go any deeper. Oh, somebody made 1,000%, that has to be a scam. Why? Well, because obviously for them, high returns mean a scam because they don't get high returns on anything. So if it's not the 1% the bank gives them, it must be a scam. So people generally don't look at anything. So, you know, it's impossible to sell to everyone. We're always going to be somewhat of a niche. Even when things go mainstream, they remain niches for a long time. They remain things that only certain people use because some people have a mentality or grow up or learn from an early age that this is how things are, and anything outside of that box they create for themselves just can't be true or real. So, and it doesn't help, obviously, that most of the time when you talk about finance and stuff like that, the first companies that use any type of new tool in finance are fraudsters, right? That's just how things work. ICOs, sure, there were frauds in there. Absolutely. Bitcoin was absolutely used almost 100% for nefarious activity, whether you were evading tax or not paying your taxes, which maybe not be criminal in your eyes, but it's criminal. Whether you were moving money out of your country over the limitation that's set by your government, you're a criminal to your government. If you were buying drugs online, well, you're a criminal to somebody. So, you know, and eventually it gets filtered out, right? So now we have DeFi, rug pulls, right? We have all these people making absolute bullshit. A very small amount of money, people making money on the backs of other people, and everybody else getting screwed. And so new people will see this and they equate it to the market as a whole. And it's our job as market players to make sure that people understand that that's a stupid way to look at things. Because if you look, what about every bank that's ever scammed their customers? What about every day when there's lost SWIFT transfers? What about every day when money is stuck in the banking system? What about every day that a bank takes an exorbitant fee from one of their customers? What about every day when a broker reverses trades on one of their clients? What about every day when a hedge fund loses money? What about every day? That doesn't mean that everybody in the collective industry, it doesn't work and that you shouldn't invest your money. There's stocks all the time that have volatile days where I've had people tell me, this is a story, a little anecdote for you guys. I was on a TV show in Mexico back in 2017 talking about crypto. The woman said, I don't know about this crypto stuff. I invested in the stock market about 8 years ago and lost my money because the stock market's a scam. And I said, excuse me? And she said, well, stock market's a scam. I bought this stock and it tanked in price. I said, the stock market isn't a scam, man. You're just a novice, an idiot, basically, who lost their money because you didn't do any research. And well, we're all idiots at first. Every single one of us, when we start out investing, are stupid. Just like when you start out doing anything, you're not really good at it. You might get lucky, but you don't know what you're doing. You might think you do, but you don't. And so people, even her, now this is an intelligent woman in her 60s that's probably done more things in her life than any of us will combined. More degrees than, I don't know, you can hang on a wall. But to her, the stock market was a scam because she lost money betting on a stock. That's the problem. So that's why people in the industry and people that aren't in the industry that understand these things just need to be vocal about it, right? Somebody's going to listen to you somewhere. Any partnerships of BizDev to be announced soon? You mentioned one likely on the way in one of the last 2 sessions. Yeah, we have this, we're working with Paxful right now to get this thing going. It's going to take probably 2 months before we see this thing actually come to fruition, but we're working on it, and it's one of the more immediate BizDev ideas or BizDev projects that we're working on. There's another one, can't talk to you specifically what that one is yet. It's with a debit card provider moving from the US into Europe, but more to come on that over the coming weeks. The volume on Binance yesterday in just BTC was 2.5 billion. There's a ton of room for CM to grow. Really need just to focus. Yeah, look, there is volume out there. Binance's numbers are bullshit, 100%. To be honest, at this point, I don't even need facts. I mean, that sounds crazy because this should be fact driven, but I guarantee you it's fake. I'm not going to tell you by what percentage, but it's bullshit, 100%. It's easy to see that it's bullshit because it's impossible. You can have industries where you have a market leader that takes a massive amount of market share. It happens. Look at Microsoft and Apple, 20 years ago. Microsoft, even now, Microsoft in the business sector holds a massive lead over Apple. But there's specific reasons for it, very specific reasons. And we're not going to go into those because we could have an hour-long conversation about that. And that might not even be the best example. But when you look at Binance and compare it to other exchanges outside of China who all bullshit their numbers 100%, because China is no longer the absolute driving force in crypto volumes. It isn't. It was because Chinese wanted to move money out of the country, and they're big bettors. They do like to gamble. That's why Macau is there, but Macau isn't there generally. Look, it's a chicken and egg with the Chinese. It's not that they were born, they historically are gamblers, but they gave them Macau, and they used Macau not necessarily for gambling, but as a way to move money out of the country, skirting the cap legally. And that's why Macau became as big as it was. And again, by default, Chinese love to gamble. So back to my original point, Binance numbers are bullshit, but they're obviously higher than ours. So yes, there's a huge room. And we're talking about 2.5 billion potentially, when only this percentage of the world actually interacts on trading cryptocurrencies. So what happens when it's this much or this much? Or that much? What happens when the systems we build aren't just about the amount of people trading crypto, which is always going to be small, relatively speaking, compared to the people that are interacting with crypto, that may be looking at passive income, that may simply be exchanging tokens they get from one store to another store, utility tokens, that may be looking to take their American Express tokenized points and trading them for some Visa points because they can get better airline miles through the Visa program. All those things are coming. So there's a massive room, massive, absolutely massive. The current market isn't even the best place to start. The current market is dwarfed by every other financial market. The digital securities marketplace we launched could literally dwarf every marketplace. And I'm not saying just our market, but the volume between all digital securities would dwarf any major exchange. And I'm talking about Dow, FTSE, CAC, Nikkei, NASDAQ, would dwarf them, absolutely dwarf them. So it's not just that there's ability to grow. There is massive ability. It's almost, you couldn't even create the number. You wouldn't even know how to get to the number of how big the potential is for that market alone. Never mind the tokenization of private companies. Awareness, boom, yes. What do you think of the response to CM Bond? I commented on this already. Look, fundraising is never easy. When you see it as easy, you don't actually know how it happened, right? I know a ton, like I talked about the ICO bubble, I know a ton of companies that basically front ran their own ICO. So we literally got contacted by a company that said, look, we can get your ICO to 30 million day one. And then you can do like some private sales after and you'll raise much more money. Basically, they would just take money from 100 or 200 of their own wallets, funnel it in, funnel it out, funnel it back in. And within 20, 30, 40, depending on how many times they had a funnel, unless it was instantaneous transactions, either one round in or multiple rounds over a few hours, 30 million. And of course, we didn't do that, but many companies did. So yeah, look, and that happens in the traditional market as well. Things are generally front run like crazy. They already know who's coming in. They say they don't. They say they're going to do an IPO or whatever, but they know who's coming in. And so they sell really quickly. They sell it out. Everything looks cool. Great marketing for them. I find that to be a bit disingenuous. For us, we want individuals into this. I think obviously the current pace needs to pick up a bit, and we're going to do our job to make sure that it picks up. But if it takes 90 days, 91 days, 93 days, or 7 days, doesn't matter to us. Yep, there is a bit of marketing ploy you can use when you sell out fast, but we're not selling out fast to sell more. We're selling to give ownership-like rights to our clients. That's one of the main goals here, and get the money we need to be able to propel ourselves forward. So YCM won't start at US first, and after that expand to EU and the rest of the world, because we're not based in the US. And US takes time. You see that we have dollars now. We couldn't have done that 2 years ago. It was an impossibility. Getting US dollars through ACH for a crypto entity and doing it instantaneously 2 years ago was impossible for a non-US based, non-US licensed company. Doesn't matter how nice the forehead looked on the day I went to go talk to them, they'd tell me to fuck off. That's the reality. So it took time, and USD is difficult, man. You can ask anybody in fintech, just say USD, and they'll be like, oh, you'll see them shiver. Like sweat will start to come out. They might lose some hair, may get a bald patch on the beard. Their ears might grow bigger. You ever notice old people have bigger ears? Yeah, that's stress, man. The nose gets big. I don't know. Shit happens. But look, what I'm trying to say here is that we did this because, first of all, we're an EU company. The EU is super underserved. And to be fair, the EU market is bigger than the US market. If you take the capital markets from Europe and you compare them to the US market, EU is bigger. EU is underserved. There's lots of players in the US already. There's not many players in the EU. Why haven't we expanded so far so fast? Awareness. Again, same thing. We literally could take on any player right now in the EU and the UK, bar none, hands down, and beat them if we had their same marketing budget. But we don't. So that's where we lie. So something sound easy, like, well, why don't you just onboard all these US guys? Why don't you just tell everybody? Yeah, it's easy on paper, but in reality, it's not that easy. There's so many things that come into running a financial business, especially one that's regulated. It's a labyrinth. It's a labyrinth inside of a chessboard on top of the most difficult video game you've ever played in your life, smushed into like some type of, I don't know, 3D virtual escape room, and then tied up, hung over Niagara Falls, just within inches of your reach. That's about what it feels like, and that's how it is. So I think, look, for our size and for the budget we've had to be able to grow the business, we are in spectacular shape. Could we be better? Sure. Will we be better? Absolutely. Hey, I'm late again. Hey, no problem. What's your biggest pitch for buying the bond? I think there's only one pitch. One pitch. Let's put it this way. Daily cash flow for 2 years. 2 years to watch how a company grows and have the entirety of those 2 years to make a decision. Are they growing at an exponential rate? Yes. Then I'm going to convert to equity like. I'm going to make a quick return on the multiplier. I can sell these new tokens, these growth tokens, should I choose. Or I'm going to hold them for a bit while longer, see how much exponential growth I can get. And then maybe I sell. Or I hold on to see if they sell, make a big chunk of change. On the other hand, I get this daily cash flow for 2 years. And at the end of those 2 years, I go, you know what? The growth has been decent, but XCM is now at €3. That's 150x gain, or 15x gain. Sorry. So I'm going to go that route. I'm going to cash out the XCM, sell some of it, hold on to the rest. There's so many options throughout that entirety of those 2 years. You can sell in the secondary market as well. So you have so many options. There's so many staking opportunities out there right now for somewhere between 1 and 12%. But you get paid usually in some governance token, or you're going to get paid in some other token. You're going to get paid in some type, whatever. Here you're getting paid in fiat, and you can have access to it every day. And if you want out, you can get out. You're not waiting every month. You're not waiting a week. You don't have to hold till the end of the 2 years to make your interest. You get it every day. I think it's a fantastic option. I don't see anything like it in the market. Whether you love CoinMetro, don't love CoinMetro, want to be an equity-like holder, don't want to be an equity-like holder, simply want to speculate on XCM price but get some daily cash flow into your account. All those things you can do with this product. With USD support now, how is the response in terms of sign up? Like I said before, there's about 50 people that have gone through to get access to pull USD from their bank accounts. And that's a relatively small number. However, to be fair, we haven't yet really pushed. We've pushed internally a bit, and we're going to start pushing a lot more externally, also tied with the bomb. So it's the process works. There's still a few things we're trying to work out with the provider to make sure the process works a little bit better in the future. And that's why we haven't yet really started to throw masses at it. But it's improving, so that's good. CoinMetro foundations are so strong. Thank you, Gustavo. I appreciate that. Like I said, I met Gustavo at a friend's house in Switzerland, I think for the first time, early 2018, or maybe mid 2018, don't remember. But great, Gustavo's a great guy, super smart, been in this industry for quite some time. And anyway, Gustavo, we got to catch up at some point. So nice to see you here. Can improve on YouTube view? Of course we can. You guys need to thumb up. You guys need to put thumbs up. You guys need to love things. You guys need to tell your friends about it. You guys need to share links. Tell everybody, dude, you have questions about crypto? I got the perfect place. Hit this guy up on Fridays. That's it, pretty simple. We also have to do our part in doing more marketing to these things, and we will. So yeah, look, it's a collective effort. We have 5,000 people in Telegram, right? We have 60,000 people with their emails. They get, we have lots of people that can start mentioning it to one or two friends. Everybody, I'm sure you guys have the thing where you go to talk to a friend, you're like, Bitcoin, they're like, what? And you go, dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Like 3 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Estonia time on a Friday. Go talk to this guy, ask him anything you want. That's how we do it. That's the best way to sell CoinMetro by far. Nice to be back with many things from your initial ideas are a reality now, and I'm enjoying the trading platform. Great UI. Appreciate that again, Gustavo. Awesome to hear the feedback. It's been a long road. Life is a long road. Business is usually a long road, but the road is getting prettier, right? So that's cool. I hope everything's good on your side as well. I'd love to hear an update. In the absence of public blockchain allocation for the XCM that CM holds on custody, can CM provide a public ledger of the accounts for the users to understand the XCM positions for each owner? Could we? Yeah, we could. Do have some GDPR things there, I think, potentially. So sharing of data, people would probably have to say that was okay, unless we could anonymize it to a certain extent, but not sure it would be considered anonymized data as far as GDPR is concerned. But yeah, we could do it. We could do it. I guess that my question would be, let's see, why would that be beneficial? Just to see if there's whales or something like that might move price? Is that the benefit? Or what we were thinking to do for some time was to actually show all users where XCM is in the ecosystem, held in wallets, staked, in the rebates tier, held for collateral on margin, so you can get an idea of where it's being used. That I think is a fantastic idea, and to me, it's even more marketable and even more useful than this idea. But yeah, let me know why exactly that would be beneficial to you. Do you have milestones regarding the price of XCM? I understand that with the growth of the business, the price will follow, but there should be some KPIs. Well, setting KPIs on where price goes is almost, I don't know how useful that is, because there's nothing we can do directly, marketing or otherwise, that specifically can be tied to a certain price point, because price points are only made by people buying and less people selling. So I don't see how you can even do that, to be fair. We definitely have KPIs in terms of we want to get more awareness about XCM. And part of those KPIs, to be fair, haven't really been focused on in the last couple months because the focus has been on bond, the focus has been on other things. In fact, since the beginning, there was only a very small amount of time where that was a focus. But it is being talked about, and it will become a focus. An XCM page explaining more about the use cases, what I just described, where you can see where XCM is being used in the ecosystem. I think those things will definitely drive more awareness. But setting a KPI like KPI 10 cents, I don't know even how you would tie in specific, specific tasks to reach a KPI based on what would be, for the most part, hype and speculative buying. You can definitely set KPIs to make sure that you're out there gaining awareness, though, for sure. Any new coin ICO on the horizon? There's a few bonds that'll be coming online. There's two that we're working on, genomics company and a media company. Both of those are scheduled sometime in November right now. CM can build a kiosk almost anywhere in the future. We could. Not sure that that would be the best route to gain new clientele, but it could be, especially in very high trafficked areas. But understand that something in a very high traffic area, potentially, the cost there would be prohibitive, at least right now. But we could. It depends on local regulation. CM can be able to open Macau in future if Macau can be used to get a huge population of Chinese clients. Anything you tell me right now, I will say it's possible. That's the point. We could do anything, but we might not be able to do anything. I mentioned Macau before. I guess, yeah, potentially, but I doubt we would have the regulatory authority. The regulatory authority would give us the ability to market crypto physically in Macau. It's not gambling per se. I mean, it kind of is, but I don't think they would classify it as such. So I'm not sure how that would actually work. But yeah, that's a possibility. Things like that, trade shows, kiosks, etc. What excites you about the potential and future of Cadena? I just heard about it and thinking about investing. I think they have a capable team. When I talk to them, I think a lot of the things that they're looking to do is something that Ignium and CoinMetro are potentially looking to do in different ways. I think they're trying to tackle problems that the blockchain and that the financial system has in general, and that's a good thing. The price point right now is much cheaper than it was just a couple weeks ago. It probably potentially could get even more cheaper if Bitcoin continues to rise. Not saying that it's a buy alert now or will be a buy alert in the future, but I think they have some legs. Potentially, if you're looking at things that are looking to build kind of ecosystems for financial marketplaces, they probably should be on your list. How do you manage risk with instantaneous ACH? What if it doesn't clear? Good question. So one way we handle risk, well, obviously, first of all, we onboard everybody. So we have their passport, we have their driver's license, we have their selfie, their liveness test, etc. When they sign up for ACH, they agree to the terms. When they sign up to ACH, they agree that we're going to share their KYC data with the bank that's actually handling those transactions. They then go through a system called Plaid where they have to log in to their bank account to authorize the transaction. All those things together, essentially, if someone was trying to charge back, let's say someone gained access to someone else's account, we should win that chargeback simply because we did everything we possibly could to know that that person was real. A money mule, somebody asked their buddy, hey, I signed up for this account, take money out of your account, and then you say it was me. Again, we have too much information. On the other hand, the Plaid system itself usually stops most fraud because most people may have filled out a form and they know the ABA number and things like that. So potentially they could fax that to the bank and get an ACH authorization, but they don't have the login to the bank account. So that's the majority of how we do that. Watch out again for these CoinMetro, these fake CoinMetro douchebags who are posting nonsense again here. It's not us. Don't pay attention to it. Again, they're even posted in Portuguese now, which is absolutely amazing. We've reported these. Please report them if you see them. We've reported it 1 million times to Facebook. While Facebook won't let us do advertising in Europe, they have no problem with a scam using our name to advertise in every thread we do. So right on Facebook, thanks. Awesome, appreciate that. Would it make sense budget-wise to expand to smaller crypto progressive countries like Hong Kong or Singapore and establish a monopoly there? I think it makes sense to explore localized fiat on and off ramps and then having localized support in Chinese or wherever, for example. But expanding into those markets and setting up shop completely is not cost effective, at least not right now. But we were actually talking about this with a provider the other day, looking at potential for Asia. It's on our minds for sure. Anybody sees this message by Dallas Evans? Again, scam. Nobody has the name Dallas Evans. It's literally like a porno name. So anyway, be cautious. Thanks up, folks. Thumbs up, folks. Marketing starts here. Yep, thumbs up. Give us a heart. Tell somebody about it. Retweet it. Share it. Comment. all these things are great, and they all help us out. So anything planned with Cadena? Still working on what that possible collaboration could be. There's some opportunity, but still nothing concrete. Oh, sorry, Jesus, another fraud. Sorry, I didn't mean to. There's too many of them. Any upcoming plans regarding XCM utility and awareness? Discussed this a lot already. So yes, obviously staking with collateral, awareness, XCM page, talking more about how XCM works, starting to do some more hype-based awareness on social media, which has already started. So yes, 100%. Where's the best place to get crypto news? I'm an idiot and missed the ETH 2.0 launch and shorted ETH. Now I'm living in a cardboard box. Well, I don't think it was the ETH 2.0 launch that had much to do with the ETH pop. ETH was just eventually following Bitcoin, basically because of probably Tether, to be fair, Tether printing, as well as US election news. ETH 2.0 probably had a small effect, but not so much. Best place to get news, you just got to be on the ball, I think. You just, make sure you're on Twitter. Crypto Twitter is probably one of the best places to go. Follow some people on Crypto Twitter. Follow some of your main publications, Cointelegraph, CoinDesk. Follow some of the bigger cats on Twitter, like Pompliano and even Vitalik, et cetera. Get yourself a Twitter account, even if you don't tweet. Reddit's another good place to go. But Twitter, I'm on Twitter. Crypto Twitter, you get all the news there. It's pretty easy. When will you offer more USD pairs? I would love PRQ. By the way, I'm on Twitter at Kevin Murcko if you want to. I generally don't. Generally, you'll see me engaging in some discussion about topics like regulatory law, how it applies to crypto, stuff like that. But anyway, if you want to follow me, I'm there as well. So when will you offer more USD pairs? I would love PRQ link Cadena. Currently, I would have to buy more ETH and then sell that. A taxable event. Well, I mean, the USD would be a taxable one as well. We have USDC, for example, but obviously not paired with much. We need to see more volume on those pairs, to be fair. I think Link is probably possible. Cadena and PRQ, probably not yet. But eventually we want to have everything crossed with USD. That's a goal. Anything, almost last any I propose, planned with any other listed companies per project. I already talked about this a bit, so I'm not going to repeat it, but basically, yeah, we're working with Paxful right now to see where we can get with this BizDev solution. We have another one in the cards. We're a debit card provider, and there will be more coming in the future. All right, guys, I'm going to take a few more questions. We got a lot of questions flowing in today. Hours almost up. I got stuff to do, and I got meetings coming up. So possible to expand to Taiwan? Possible, yes. In the cards right now? No. Any expansion requires normally offices. It requires staff. It requires, 150 to 100,000 euro a month. Any expansion at a bare minimum for the most part. So right now, no, but it is possible. But we need a partner. We're not going to do it ourselves. Going into Asia without a partner is disaster for a Western company. Could it be possible to provide liquidity to pairs in CM in similar fashion like Uniswap? Well, you can already provide liquidity. You just post market orders in the book. And if you're part of tier 3, you get a rebate when people hit your market orders. So you get paid. So it's already possible, actually. We actually did it first. We could add XCM and Euro to CM, and CM could pad the book with our money. Yes, again, limit orders. You can do it already. How does XCM bond secondary market work? Will CoinMetro offer a base to allow traders to engage with each other? What will be done to prevent possible scams from happening? How does XCM bond? Okay, so it's CoinMetro bond, not XCM, but okay. It's going to look just like any other exchange. It's a matching engine. You put up your orders, market order or limit order, and they get matched in the book. I don't know what you mean by a base, but if you mean a platform, yes, you'll have a platform. Ignium will have a platform as well as a billboard where you can say, I want to sell this much. Someone can come and say, I want to buy them, and you can negotiate. With us, it'll be just like our current exchange platform, essentially. And scams can't have a scam because they have to have the bonds on deposit in order to be able to sell them. So no scams possible in that way. Sorry if I missed this, but are there any plans to stake XCM or some tokenomics? Yes, there are, 100%. We are coming out with staking with collateral. I mean, you'll be able to stake XCM and still use it for collateral on margin or Tram. So dual use case staking, something we haven't seen, it's coming. Added this before, but didn't get you on this one. How did a partnership with Paxful use XCM ecosystem? It's not about XCM ecosystem. It's about the fact that they will be funneling volume into CoinMetro. They will be funneling users into CoinMetro. Users in CoinMetro usually mean additional. Well, first of all, they mean extra commission. Extra commission means we're buying more XCM. On the other side, we get more exposure to XCM. Usually means more XCM is being purchased. Kadena is a token. It's a company. KDA. Kadena is the company. You can look them up. Do a Google search. Don't have a lot of time right now to explain what they do. Already did about 20 minutes ago, actually. Thanks, Kev. Excellent AMA. Appreciate you guys. We're just at an hour. I'm gonna have to cut it here. Very much appreciate all the questions. It's been an excellent AMA. We had questions all the way throughout. We went all the way to 1 hour, even though we're supposed to be doing 30 minutes of these things now. So definitely not 10 hours though. So my back doesn't hurt and I think I can still think straight. So very, very much thank you to all you guys. Please thumbs up, give us hearts, do whatever you can do. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that if you're interested, tell your friends about it. Somebody needs to know something about Bitcoin, tell them to tag me at Kevin Murcko on Telegram. Tell them to tweet me on Twitter. Tell them to come here on Fridays and check it out. I can answer anything, I think. And so far, I think I haven't had one question that stumped me in the history. So I love getting questions. Please throw them at me. Have a great weekend, everybody. Spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it personally, do it virtually. And when you're on that Zoom call at 2 o'clock in the morning with that uncle that you absolutely hate, make sure you tell him that the way to happiness is through XCM. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. At Kevin Murcko on Twitter, at Kevin Murcko on Telegram. Hit me up with any questions, comments. Tell me how bald I am. Tell me my forehead look good or bad. I don't really care. But talk to you soon, and cheers.